Hey, can we start the show?
Yeah, what are you talking about?
I thought we
started at 3.
You're off the camera because you're so far away from
My
me.
bad.
All right, and good. How do we look, people? I look a little red. So
Is that what I look like from behind? That's terrible.
I know. So we're having a little problem with our equipment today. The cameras and the computer's not behaving, so we look a little red.
That's okay.
But I do have somebody with a A1 influenza flu going around, so perhaps I'm feverish.
You're not supposed to tell anybody about
Oh, okay. So we will be right back.
Rough Edge FM. Irritatingly irresistible internet radio at roughedgefm.com.
The art of magic is mystery, majesty, pageantry, and craft. It's also about history, marketing, networking, and more. All of these topics and others are discussed on Magic Talk with your hosts, renowned magician James Lantine and owner of the White Rabbit Magic Shop, Joshua Lantine. Now on Rough Edge FM.
Okay, so before we get started, this is a little tribute to our bunny, Mr. Beasley. We had a fellow magician who loves to dabble in woodworking and all that kind of stuff. And when he heard that our bunny had died, he wanted to make an urn. So he came up with this little guy.
So it is truly spectacular.
It's adorable. It's awesome.
So inside the little top hat is Beasley's ashes. And we got a little whatchamacallit of Beasley on the top. And he sits right there in the stage.
I believe that is a 3D printed white bunny.
It's either, I was looking at it, it's either 3D printed or it might be like a resin mold.
It's a resin.
Yeah, it's like a resin mold. It's really nice.
And so the stage actually has a light on it, so it lights up Beasley on the top and everything like that.
You do have to plug it in, and the extension cord was not long enough to take with us on the stage.
No, demonstrate this purpose. However, this is really cool, and it really means a lot to us to have this. That rabbit has been with us for well over 12, 15 years, whatever it might be.
It was about 10 to 12 years.
Whatever it is, he was a significant part of the magic, as well as the reason why we have White Rabbit Magic. So
he was
Beasley has a new home.
He was the longest living magic rabbit that you've ever had, actually.
And the best
you've
one.
ever used. Actually, to be perfectly honest, yes.
And the best one.
He, not even kidding, not even just for just to say it. Did I ever have the privilege of meeting your other rabbits?
Yeah.
Did I? I
So.
keep hearing the stories about how they were all just jerks. I was going to use another word. We're on the air, so keep it Disney.
It's a rabbit. How does a rabbit become a jerk?
There's a personality behind an animal. That's why I love this guy.
Okay.
That's why he now has a permanent home in the shop.
So
I'm sentimental. That's why.
I get it. So so we have a new project coming out called Project Harmony.
Really big project.
Very big project.
Well,
to the tune of about $2.5 million. What?
I was going to say that's the House of Magic that you're the president of.
The executive
Director, whatever that. Yes.
So so Project Harmony, but your home's gonna be there too.
Well, I mean, I hope you invite me there.
Only if you're a good boy, Josh.
We haven't fully decided that, have we? He's now,
why is he on the board?
He's now on the board, so he'll have to determine whether or not he'll authorize that transaction.
It's a charcuterie board, right?
Yeah. What board's that? What board is that?
The charcuterie
board? The one that's got
with all the meat and cheese?
Yeah. And the crackers?
Oh, I had no idea what that meant.
Oh, my bad. I didn't mean to get fancy on you, Jim.
That's okay. That's okay.
Greg, how old are you?
Oh, we had to bring that up for the next few days. I'm 38 years old.
You're 38?
Yeah.
So is this the older son that you wanted and didn't get with me?
Well, he's the
Yeah, so he's the one he ended up with. That's
he's,
for sure.
he's the illegitimate son that I
Oh,
always wanted.
Well, don't tell his dad that.
So,
But anyway,
38 years old, Greg.
Yeah. Isn't that crazy?
That's very crazy.
I'm an old man now.
and
My-
your beard is still like red and everything.
It's
and-
hanging in there.
Yeah.
But I wear a hat for because the other hair is not hanging in there so much. It's not turning gray. It's just
It's
leaving
just
town.
not there. Yeah, it vacated.
Just packing up and taking off.
Yeah, vacated. Yeah.
So
So, the heck are you doing?
Answering your call.
Oh my
he's
gosh.
being polite.
So, anyways, so Project Harmony, like I said, is a $2.5 million project. It really benefits Santa Paula and the Valley and a lot of the surrounding communities.
Southern California in general, like
But yeah, I was going to say the walls will extend kind of beyond that. as
absolutely,
well.
because it'll absolutely be like a travel destination. As
Yes.
well.
And so it's essentially, it is a Freemason building, which, if you know anything about the Freemasons, when they construct their buildings, they have this grand lodge or whatever you want to call it. I mean, it's this massive room where they hold their meetings. And it's, in this case, in this particular lodge, the room is about 40 feet wide by about 60 feet deep with 30-foot ceilings. And so it's huge.
I would love this. I've seen the outside.
Yeah.
I've yet to go inside. It sounds amazing.
And it will make for a beautiful theater. It's downstairs. It has kind of like a school lunchroom, so to speak. You know how they would have the cafeteria, and then they always had like a little stage and stuff like that up the caf.
Auditorium.
Yeah, so they have just that there as well. They have a full commercial kitchen. They have a beautiful library, which would make for a wonderful magic shop, provided that you approve that transaction.
Absolutely.
And
to
then
look at
there's
the
several
project.
other rooms, so we could have an actual production room where this stuff could be kind of set up and stay set up. We wouldn't have to mess with all this stuff and say, "Oh, gee, this isn't working." Green screen would work beautifully. Love it. So the idea behind it is that it will be the new home for the House of Magic, but it's going to, we're really going to capitalize on the Magic Mentor program, which is educating students about STEAM while using magic. And I'm actually working on a show right now where it will be a magic show that will cover, some of the things that I do with Stranger Danger and that kind of stuff. But in between all of that, there'll be one trick that I will perform that might have to do with science. And then we will break that trick down so that they understand what the science is behind it and why that trick works because of the science. And then we'll do a trick involving math and then break that down. What's the math behind it? And why is this math allow that to happen? And the same thing with technology and engineering. So they'll get kind of a general idea of how is into magic. And more importantly, they'll learn about STEAM through magic. So they're learning about the science and the technology under the guise of magic, but they'll also see how it plays a role in the creating of the tricks as well.
It's amazing, man. It's really cool.
So, I'm really excited about it, and I do want to. This is not our trick of the week, so to speak. We are in the process of reformatting the show, hence I have these things.
Is it good? Should I buy it? Does it suck? Did I get ripped off? Is it more of a craft project than a magic trick? These questions and more answered now on the Magic Item of the Week here on Magic Talk.
Whoops, you couldn't hear me because it was there. Anyway, this is not the trick of the week, but can I please see the bunny in the hat?
This one from the same creator who designed our bunny's very beautiful urn.
Yeah.
We
By the
also
same creators
have
of Beasley's urn.
yes.
Yes.
Now, this is not an urn.
This is not an
I
urn.
know it bears a similar resemblance. There's no remains in this one.
There are no remains in this
Okay.
one. Well, there is
yes.
a
That
bunny.
would truly be a special edition.
There is a bunny in this one, though.
Oh, there is. Okay,
So,
excellent.
But it's a
So
cute
we
little.
didn't say his name.
Who?
Jeff.
I did, didn't I?
No.
Oh, so Jeff Weaker
Yes.
is the.
Now everybody's going to be calling this guy all the
I
time.
know, saying, "Hey, can you make
Sorry,
me
Jeff.
Yeah. But he loves the crafty stuff, and so he saw me do the trick, with the rope that goes through the block, where you take the two ends and you tie it, and then you pull, and it goes through, it penetrates the block.
Do you know what that one is
There's several
officially
different
called?
names.
Yeah, it's the block that duped Jim, right? And took money out of your pocket because
It
you
did.
thought
It
it was
took
super,
$450.
it was super special, and it was just a block.
Yeah, took $450 out of my pocket.
So it's a rope through block. Is that what we're going?
Yeah,
It's basically the same.
it's a rope through. Yeah, there's several different
But-
names for it.
This one we have a different name now. Again,
This is through the bunny hole.
well,
That sounds.
hold on. We
no,
might need to
that's-
read.
That sounds a bit inappropriate.
Through the
Jim.
rabbit hole.
Okay, that
Through the
sounds
rabbit
better.
hole.
that sounds a little better. That's a less crass.
Sorry.
That's a little
Sorry.
less crass.
Through the rabbit hole. Through the rabbit hole. So he saw that trick and he thought, how cool would it be? Yeah, where
The
does
rabbit hole penetration?
Yeah.
That sounds another.
No,
No, it's not. Coming out of my mouth, it sounded bad.
it did. So yeah.
Heard it immediately after you said it.
So
Oh, God.
what do you expect to live inside a magic hat?
A
But
rabbit, of course. And magic.
and magic. And so here we have some shoelaces. And these shoelaces can be passed out for examination if you so choose.
Yeah, that
wasn't-
came from a shoe.
It came from the rabbit hole.
Well, originally came from a shoe. And
Yeah.
went into the rabbit hole. I think it was your shoes.
It might have been.
You're missing some laces.
So then we will proceed to take these shoelaces, and this particular rabbit does in fact have a hole through it.
So that's why they call it the rabbit hole.
That's right.
That's a lot more appropriate.
So just like that, and then the rabbit will return to his home, and he's got these nice little slots inside here for the ropes to slide into. Very well thought out. And then you can close the rabbit, but you can still see him through the hole.
You can.
And we will tie these two ends together.
Almost like his ears.
Yeah. And on the count of 3. 1, 2, 3.
Whoa!
Just like that.
That was pretty good.
The rope penetrates through the bunny and
Through the hat.
But that's a
And a
magic
hat.
hat, Jim.
and no bunnies were harmed during the production of this trick.
Best part.
So
Best part. So calm down
Okay.
over there.
You can examine him. There's nothing.
yeah.
I love it.
No
That's
gaps
great.
or nothing.
So it's a cute little effect. I mean it's handmade, so you can tell in the construction of it, but every piece was handmade, put together. We are selling it for $325 because it took him a really, really long time to do all of this.
A lot of
And
man hours.
he did a great job with it. This makes for like one of those
Awesome.
pieces where you put it on your coffee table. And people are like, what the heck is this? Oh, let me show you. And-
Absolutely. Or if you have a loved one that is a magician and he has an addiction to buying magic, such as myself, and they have everything, they won't have one of these.
no, they
So
won't.
this would be an
completely
amazingly thoughtful gift for somebody as well for their collection.
Yeah, this is totally unique. There's nothing else out there like this. And
And you're
Just wanna
supporting
reach
a great creative minded magic.
yes,
as
you
well.
are.
Oh.
And I would just like to say thanks to Jeff for his creativity and his ingenuity. He brought one in. He had no intention of selling these. He had no intention of making any more. But when he brought it into the club, everybody saw it, and everybody was like, "Oh my gosh, this is like amazing!" And so he made a few of them. We only have 3, so get them while we got them because he said he's probably not going to make any more because it takes way too long,
Wow.
way too hard of a process.
Great job, Jeff.
Even
So,
the spinning of it. You were spinning the whole thing. It's on a
yeah, the
really
lazy-
smooth
got that nice
carousel.
Lazy Susan,
Yeah.
and yeah, it's really cool. So, so that can be purchased only at your favorite White Rabbit Magic Shop. Are you just gonna sit there and play with those cards all day?
Yeah, well, I'm going to buy some later.
Oh, hey,
Yeah, well,
He is,
test driving them.
Oh, okay.
You know.
He is taking my role for today. He asked very nicely, so I said okay.
Okay.
Well, actually, I just wanted to try the cards out.
So there's one thing that I'm really excited about with the Project Harmony. And the reason why it's called Project Harmony, by the way, is that it's about honoring the past while inspiring the future. So it's honoring the Masonic Temple and the Masons who put their labor into constructing that, but carrying that honor into the future by providing programs for kids in the arts and all that kind of stuff, as well as adults.
I love it. It's amazing.
But one of the things
There's
that
a
we're
lot of
going
you
to
can
do in this building is a small magic conference. We have breakout rooms. We have 2 stages. We have the magic shop. One more.
It'd be like our own Penguin Magic Expo.
Yeah.
I love it. Only it'd be the White Rabbit Expo.
It would be.
Pretty
What,
cool.
What are we exposing?
Well, I don't know what to say. I don't know
Okay.
anything clever.
Yeah. All right.
Magic. Just magic.
Wow.
Magic secrets.
So, we're into the new year. We are already 1 month away. What have you been up to?
Magic.
Really?
I've been focusing on trying to get more flight time. So now we're going on Fridays to the castle and trying to take advantage of that kind of hustle and bustle on a Friday night and trying to get more flight time performing in the off the cuff areas. That's been going well.
We're going down tomorrow.
Really? That's funny. Hurley's there tonight. You're going tomorrow. I'll be there Friday. Why can't we all go on one night together?
Because that would be like a date.
I know. It'd be adorable.
I was gonna say,
So,
it's not the first mandate you've ever been on.
So how many paid gigs have you done so far?
Paid gigs?
Yes.
3.
3 paid gigs.
Yes.
How many paid gigs have you done outside of the trio?
None. A trio, meaning me, Miggs, and Sharpo paid me for a gig.
Oh, so you did a gig with him?
Mhm.
Weren't we doing a gig with Sharpo?
Yeah, but unfortunately the ticket sales were a little bit lack. But
That was over.
But I told Sharpo, I blame Lashen though, because several times their website was down, and I kept getting
And their
texts.
prices were too high.
Well, but their website kept going down. I had several people, like my family, trying to get tickets at different days. They couldn't because the processing wasn't working or the website in general wasn't working. So I blame that.
Yeah.
I blame that.
Yeah, there's been a lot of hit or miss with their shows.
Yeah.
But
The Denny's thing, we're actually going to do again in February, and that's just going to be Raven, Miggs, and myself.
Okay.
Raven's not going to hire any magicians for that. And so that'll be fun. So we'll do that and maybe keep that going. And trying to look for some other areas to start really getting more regular gigs. But in the meantime, just really taking advantage of the fact that I have that castle to be able to go there and perform for people.
absolutely.
For sure.
And that's great experience because if you can perform there, you can pretty much perform anywhere.
Oh, yeah.
Yeah, because it's an intimidating space.
Yeah, no doubt.
So-
Definitely having an NPH helps.
An MPH.
Yeah, that's their old fashioned. It's an alcoholic beverage. Neil Patrick Harris is who it's named after.
He is not one to dabble in the alcoholic arts.
Oh, yeah, I
Yeah.
understand. Totally understand.
Yeah, kind of lost me on that. I mean, I knew what MPH was, but I'm like, what, Neil is helping you out with?
That'd be kind of cool too, right?
Yeah, actually,
I think he.
I meet up with him. He gives me some pointers.
Yeah.
I think he has a. Does he frequent the castle still?
I don't know if he still
I
does.
don't
I've
know.
never seen him around.
Not as
Never.
much as I don't think.
But I'm
he
not
does
there
as
every
much
day.
as he did when he was president.
Yeah, but I knew he did. He
Yeah.
was around there a lot.
When he was the president, yeah, I think he showed himself more. That's
Almost
cool.
like I think it was David Copperfield was there a lot too,
Ooh, cool.
way back in the day.
He was.
Yeah.
Oh.
He'd go to the castle all the time. Actually, there's a couple of magicians who come to the shop. They say, "Oh yeah, he was there," and you talk to a bunch of people, and he'd go and share some of the tricks that he was doing. Because I mean, he's got really good sleight of hand chops.
A lot of people really don't realize that Copperfield actually has good sleight of hand.
Oh, he's
Oh, I
got
bet he's-
amazing chops.
Yeah, I bet. Yeah,
Uh,
I've never witnessed, but I
No.
would just assume
Yeah.
a man who's so involved and spent so much of his life in magic, like, why would you not dabble in all that
Yeah.
stuff?
Right.
You know what I mean? Even if you're
I
making money with
remember
it.
a story at Copperfield when it was at the Tannen's Magic Jubilee. And so this would have been back in the early 80s. So he had just started his TV specials, and every magician was goo goo gaga over him. And so he came into the Jubilee. He had a girl on each arm. Walks into the Jubilee. Everybody's like, "Oh, it's Copperfield! It's Copperfield!" And he turned around and he walked right back out.
He's like, no,
Yeah,
No, thank you.
it was like
too
yeah,
much,
This is gonna be
too much, too soon.
way too much of a circus. So, so that was my experience with Copperfield.
No, right on.
So,
It's kind of like my only experience with Copperfield in person is always Magic Live,
right,
and a couple of Magic Lives I haven't seen him. Most of the time I do see him, and you could usually tell when he's around just because you'll see this cluster, just kind of like moving with him, just people following him around and
Right.
wanting to get a picture and see what he's looking at and all that stuff. So you just kind of see this big blob move, and you're like, oh yeah, it must be Copperfield over there.
yeah. But
Heard similar stories with Shin Lim, actually.
he's approaching 70 years old.
Copperfield?
Yeah,
Mhm.
Wow.
yeah.
The last time I saw him, I was so disappointed, man. I'm not gonna lie, because I was so excited. Veronica was her first like real live magic show, and she came. I was doing classes with Jeff. She came on the last night, and I took her, for a night on the town and all that. She flew in, and then we saw Copperfield, and it was a second show, and I don't know if it was bad because it was a second show, but zero emotion, and man, he was talking so fast and so low into the mic that I could even barely, it almost sounded like mumbling. I could barely hear it. And he could just literally sounded like, all right, let's just, but then maybe I was thinking perhaps the first show went late and then they needed to make up time. So he was trying to like fly through the first part. I don't know how it works, but man, I was like, dude, I felt so gypped. That show, and I've seen, that's my fourth time seeing him, and all the other times, incredible. I loved it. And I just really felt like he was phoning it in, man, for sure.
No matter what you say about him, and no matter how he is now, the guy is still one of the greatest magicians of the world.
Yeah.
And he will, he's going to be the Tom Brady. He is the Tom Brady.
Yeah.
Of football,
Absolutely.
But I think so. A friend of mine went to go see Lance Burton, and
Like that type of situation?
and
Tired?
so he was down. So my friend was a Houdini poster collector and everything. He bought his house and retired in Florida off of his poster collection.
That's cool.
Yeah, so he had
Trying to be like that someday.
hundreds of thousands of dollars worth of these posters. So he was known pretty much through that realm. And so he went to go, and after the show, he went down into the dressing room to talk with Lance, and he had said, something about like, this has got to be a dream, and Lance was saying something like, yeah, you're 6 days a week, 2 shows a day, you're trapped in a purple palace, and nowhere to go. So he said, something to the effect of "Be careful what you dream for" or whatever. But I can imagine that when you're in Vegas and you're performing these shows over and over and over every single day, and getting 1 day off or maybe 2 days off, where the theater is dark, and it's just the same thing, and that at some point your brain's got to go and check out.
Yeah, for sure.
And just say, I can do this in my sleep. So that's what I'm going to do. I'm going to take a nap right now, and I'm just going to let muscle memory take its course. Because Lance did the same thing when Julie and I went to go see him. He had one of those facial mics, which I really don't like because a lot of people don't know how to position them. And his was right smack in front of his mouth. So all you heard was, yeah, and I'm gonna take it off.
It was like pilot Lance Burton.
Yeah,
We're flying at 40,000 feet.
it was like Darth Vader,
Yeah.
and it was mumbling, and you could just tell. And this was towards the end of his career, when he, not his career, but it was towards the end of his tour in Vegas, because shortly thereafter he broke his ankle and then they canceled his contract. But
I didn't realize that's why he retired, was from a broken ankle.
well, I don't think he intended on retiring. It's just
Yeah,
that
yeah.
that's when that all happened. And they brought somebody else into the theater. I believe he broke it doing the sword.
Yeah,
Trick.
that's such a great. I love
Yeah.
that as a kid. So,
But
cool.
even that one was like, it was just kind of like, yeah, there was just no energy
Mhm.
in it whatsoever.
Was that the night he broke his ankle?
No, I don't think so.
Did you witness
Yeah,
the
actually,
end
now
of
I'm
his
looking
career?
back. He was limping a little bit.
Yeah.
Yeah,
Oh,
that's where the
now
huffing and puffing.
now
He's
I
like,
feel-
oh,
I know, now I
this
feel
really
terrible.
hurts.
See, he was just trying to perform a really good show for you. Do the show must go on.
Yeah.
Yeah,
And it's-
dick.
I know. He's like, he's just working it all the way. He suffered through. Let's see you perform with a broken ankle. But yeah, so I don't fault those guys, because all of us. I mean, let's face it, all of us would want to be there.
Oh yeah.
And I'm sure after the 700th show, and you really can't take a break or go anywhere because
It's only one of you.
you're stuck there.
Yeah, it's only one of you.
Yeah, I'm sure we'd all be going like, oh, I got to get up and do this one more time. And so then you come out to the audience and you're like, hey, ladies and gentlemen, welcome to my show. I have $1 billion. I don't know why I'm doing this anymore, but
the magic will fizzle away maybe even after a year.
uh,
Oh, good God, I got to do this
I know.
again.
I mean, let's face it, the guy's a workaholic, because
Who?
when he was touring,
Burton
Copperfield,
or Copperfield?
when he was touring,
Yeah.
he was doing over 300 plus shows a year on tour. And
That's
it's
a
like,
lot.
well, wait a minute, you got to have at least 3 or 4 days in between those tours
To get to the next place.
place. And I don't know if this is 100% accurate, but what I was told is that he had 2 sets of semis, and so one semi truck went ahead
That makes
into the next
That's actually
area.
pretty old school. That's what like Thurston, like back in the Thurston and Keller days and all that. That's what they used to do for all of their advertising. They would actually have a crew that would go ahead of the show and start putting up all the posters and all the banners and everything like that prior
Okay.
to the show even coming into town, so people would know.
Yeah,
Yeah, so interesting. So that's what.
but
I do think, or I guess that Copperfield has enough money to actually do that.
Yeah,
have 2 perfectly identical shows and then one
got 2
here,
of
one
everything.
goes- Yeah.
Because if one thing breaks down, you got to have a replacement on it, and
Yeah.
so there was duplicates of everything, and the only time you had any opportunity to introduce a new effect was by practicing it while you're on the road, and so
Which he barely did that anyway, didn't he?
no,
Or
he had
ran.
he would add occasionally. There'd be something that got inserted, but for the most part, it was like the same thing.
I was gonna say, I thought he ran that one show pretty far until he was like, okay, let's go and change it up a little bit here.
Well, when he was doing the specials, his show had to change every year.
Okay.
And I think what would happen is that he would use the tour to rehearse that show, and then he would do the special, and it was a fully rehearsed show at that point.
that also sounds like a.
But with the
pretty
tour and a national TV show like that, which you got to imagine it's got to take time to prep.
Yeah.
Oh yeah.
He's still over 300 shows, so the guy, was insane when it came to performing. And when he was on the road, I mean, granted, he was a lot younger, but I never saw a bad show from him. And I've seen him on the road maybe 15 times.
Wow.
And I've been to Vegas to see him, I think 3 or 4 times. And it's not because anything that he's doing right now. I mean, when I saw him on tour, his shows were extravagant. I mean, they were
Yeah.
they were the scenes that he would do, the playlets and stuff like that he did to Magic and everything. So it was really cool, which I really enjoyed more so than him just getting up there and doing a trick, which is what he kind of does right now.
He does some of the storytelling still.
He does some puppeteering, as a matter of fact.
He does. Oh.
Yeah, the little
Yeah.
alien.
Yeah.
Oh yes.
Yeah, you remember the alien?
I remember the
Yeah.
alien. The alien and the box.
I was kind of like, what the F is this stuff? All right.
And then
We got
the spaceship that
we
flies
got
into the
effing
theater.
Sesame Street going on right now.
Yeah.
Cool. All right.
I mean,
The spaceship effect of it coming down and flying out was pretty cool.
Oh, very
That-
cool.
that
No,
was
no,
very
very cool. In the
Not
dinosaur
magical,
even,
but
but
yeah,
cool.
it's still
Yeah,
cool.
it's still cool. I agree.
So.
Mhm.
I mean, you make all these other things appear and disappear. It's kind of like, what do we do now? Aliens exist. I'm gonna put one in my theater.
Yeah, let's bring in the aliens.
Or
Yeah, I have a hard time being super critical of these superstars because
Don't worry, I'll take care of it for you, Jim.
I know, but they paid their dues. You know, they're in a place where everybody else would love to be. And I think a lot of times when people get overly critical about them, it's like, dude, you're not up there. You couldn't do, you're not doing anything better than what they're doing. And so I sometimes feel like if I get overly critical, that maybe a little bit of it's jealousy.
Are you
So-
trying to say I'm jealous of David Copperfield, Jim?
I'll
Yes, you are.
perfectly honest critique. I will say this: the last time I saw him, it hasn't been much, but he looked like he was slowing down a little bit.
Well,
I mean, his
he's-
energy was really good still. I mean, you were even the one who said it. I'm like, he's the only guy in Vegas who would just walk out on stage and then get a standing ovation just for walking
just for
out.
being there,
Yeah, basically.
no doubt.
That kind
But
of
we know why
it,
he got a standing ovation.
it kind of reminded me a little bit of the movie Burt Wonderstone.
Yeah,
This is like, I'm here, thank you.
That's a
yeah.
great.
At least he's not doing the hangman.
Solo.
yeah.
That was kinda funny. But I mean, it looked maybe like portions of it were a little slow or a little like, yeah, okay, come on, get off the stage now. But that was maybe only 2 portions of it,
Yeah.
of the entire
I mean,
show. The rest of
The
it,
guy's getting tired. I mean, let's
Yeah.
face it. He's
been doing it
approaching 70. How long
I think
can
that's
you
allowed.
come out and keep having the energy of like, hey, I'm here.
forever.
I mean,
But
I feel tired right now. I'd like to go just go.
he still was able to tell the stories really good. And in the appropriate moments,
yourself.
keep.
I thought you were
keep
going to
the
say talk
energy up.
quieter.
Yeah.
You're waking me. You're disturbing me.
Trying to sleep here. But yeah, I mean, and I understand that too. It's you've been doing it forever. You've been doing that show for, God, what, close to 1,000 shows every single year in the same location. Because I think he even has it where it's not just 2 shows. He has one day where it's 3.
Oh yeah.
He packs that theater, and I think there's a couple of times that it's kind of okay. I gotta take a break or like a week off or something.
Well, you got to figure where it's like, what day is it?
Yeah, no, seriously.
So, one of the things that I find really interesting, you talk about magic and you talk about comedy and things. When you do comedy, the laugh is the applause,
Basically.
right?
Mm-hmm.
And so you tell a really good joke and you deliver the punchline and everybody's laughing. There are times in magic where you want an applause cue and it's like you just don't get it.
Well, sometimes though, it's even better than what you think. Maybe they're actually reacting very strongly to your magic so much to where they're literally processing it,
Right.
and that's why you don't get the reaction. I've had that actually.
Yeah, and there's so many magicians that I've seen lately where they're like, and here's where the good applause would be really good about right now.
Yeah.
Almost injecting something that
Like most people would applause right about now, but I understand. That's kind of what I've said that in the past. I'm like, most people would applause right about now, but I understand it was that amazing.
Yeah.
I understand.
Yeah.
Don't worry. It's okay.
and
It's
it's
okay.
when at the end of a joke, I think people understand where the punchline. But with magic, I don't know that everybody always understands
And I feel
the
like that,
applause cues.
and that's up to the magician, really. You know,
Yeah.
you really have to give time or like allow almost, I don't want to say like an obvious moment for applause, but you really want to give a moment where they kind of, and it helps release tension and give them a break as well
Yeah.
from what's going on, so then they can re-engage with like the next phase, so to speak, of what you're doing.
I'm helping a kid right now, and they call them mock trials. And so the school system gets these kids together, and they put a trial together. And so they have, the defendant and the prosecution, and they have defense witnesses and prosecution witnesses. And so so if the defense is calling their witness, the whole thing is scripted. So they know what questions they're going to ask, and the witness knows how to respond. But in cross, they don't know, because it's the opposite. It's the other school that's crossing them. And so I've been working with this kid, and there's so much in the way that a line is delivered, or the way that you inject a line or something. So, like, instead of going and saying, so you really don't like Mrs. Jones, do you? Which is how a lot of these kids would deliver it.
Mm-hmm.
And so I was like, after she gives you the next response, you could be something like this, and just be like, you really don't like Mrs. Jones, do you? And just the way that you deliver that.
Mm-hmm.
And so I'm trying to work with him, and I think magic is the same way. If you get so scripted, sometimes it's just like you're reading a line, and a lot of people, they spend so much time on the mechanics and the trick itself, they forget about the delivery and doing those pauses, and not just going, okay, so I have 3 cards over here now. I want you to think of a card. Is it a red card or blue card? Okay, so now, oh look, now it's got a red back instead of a blue back, and I'm gonna put it back in the deck, and oh look, it jumped back to the top of the deck. Look, I'll put it right there in the middle, and then it jumped back to the top of the deck again. And so if you don't build in those proper inflections and breaks and everything else into it, then people are just going like,
Correct. Yeah, they don't know how to process.
wait a minute, I'm still back there. Hold on, let me catch up.
There is an art to the storytelling in that regard, where you can have the implied reaction, and you do it without saying it, so to speak. Like, oh, you were talking about the examples of people like, okay, applause now. If you do it right, you shouldn't have to say that. Where it's the implication that there's a period. Basically, you kind of put into your script, or you put into your performance, a implied period. So, like what you were talking about, there's a pause that has hit,
Mm-hmm.
and you're not telling everybody, and ta-da, that's it.
Dr. Pepper, 23 flavors. One of those is prune juice to help you go regular.
Also, the caffeine.
Oh, it's
See,
a
now
sponsor insert there.
That
Someday, that'd be your dream, to get a sponsorship from Dr. Pepper. Jim I would get a call immediately. Greg, it happened. And I would just know what he's talking about. Uh-oh. Walking the plank. You're going to lose all those fizzy bubbles.
But, so it was actually, what that was surprise, which is another element of storytelling, which allows you to
it's called distraction, because if I distract you, your memory isn't all that great, and then you lose track of what you were going to say.
Well, for example, I saw a lecture.
See, he's not
at the castle with Joshua J, and he was talking. The first trick he ever talked about was the Alfred Hitchcock trick that he does, where he takes a card, very beginning of it, and the one odd thing is that he basically walks you through this entire deal. So you're not experiencing surprise and whatnot. He's telling you, look, that was surprising. And this is all an example of Alfred Hitchcock, who was a great storyteller, and he always had in his movies there was surprise, and then he ripped up a card, says, "You have no idea why I did that," and then that is where the question arises, and then he goes and he has 4 cards selected, and then he has the 4 cards returned back into the deck, and then what he ends up having is the 4 card, or the card that he just ripped up into 4 pieces. Those 4 pieces are out on the table, and then he says that the revelation is that when you go to the cards that you found, they will have the conclusion of the surprise is that those 4 cards now have the corners torn out, even though they weren't torn out originally. And then you reveal the 4 pieces, and then those are the 4 cards, the corners that match those cards. And so he's going over this whole scripting idea, and the implication is that you should be able to do everything that he just explained without actually saying it. You're not dictating what's going on, but while people are watching, they're experiencing what you want them to see.
Well, it's funny because we always teach. Here, let me get those for you, Greg.
Thanks, man.
So maybe the audience didn't see you drop those.
No one saw
those
nothing.
cards.
No one saw nothing.
When we teach, we oftentimes say you don't describe the obvious. Like, okay,
I'm holding these cards.
I'm going to shuffle these cards, and now I'm going to cut these cards, and now I'm going to So it's like you don't have to explain the obvious, but there's that's not easy to do, because what are you doing when you do this?
You're shuffling. Oh, what are you doing to fill the void?
Yeah, because it's like, okay, so if I don't describe what I'm doing, then what am I doing? Because now I'm just doing the motions and I'm not saying anything. So it's really hard if your trick doesn't have a story. It's hard not to sit there and say, all right, let's give these cards a really good shuffle, perfect, and you know what? I'll even give them a cut. So how do you not explain it if there's no story?
Well, there needs to be some level of storytelling. Some, like, if you're being totally silent, you would need to have some facial expressions, right? Some sort of connection in that way, or maybe some music and things like this. Yeah. You got to get really creative.
There's got to be something.
There's got to be something else.
Because even though you shouldn't necessarily describe what's obvious,
it needs to be entertaining. And watching a gentleman shuffle cards is really not that entertaining.
One of the ways that I've seen something.
Hey, I'm doing a trick right now. So it doesn't feel like anything. So
I won't name names. I was going to say that it's without being obvious. One of the things that can be done is if your trick, say for example, it's not a storytelling trick. You just have this. You have this impossible feat that you're about to do. One of the things that could be done is instead of telling people what you're doing, tell people what's going to happen. So you're prefacing what they're watching.
In a moment, you're going to see me stop shuffling these cards.
Or you be a smart ass like that. You could. I mean, but for example, I got the Dunbarry's Delusion that I like doing a lot. It's I can find your card. Any card, make a selection. Any card you want. I can find your card anywhere, and I don't even have to know what your card is. I don't even have to know what where it's being put. I have no control over it. The only thing, as I'm doing that, I got my whole process as I'm talking.
Right.
Well, the whole thing is that all I have to do is listen to the cards.
Right.
And so then I can go
doing this as you're saying
as I'm talking. basically. So,
And then you're saying, well, let's make sure the card's not on top. You see that
yeah,
card,
basically
yeah.
like that. So you're
Yeah.
going through your whole process, but what you're not doing is saying, okay, we got to shuffle it, we got to lose it in the middle, making sure that your card can go to the top or go down to the bottom. And I only talk or say basically call it out when it's needed.
Right, because now you're saying to them, so let's make sure your card's not on the top. Is that your card?
Yeah.
And so now now there's a reason for you having to you're not really describing the move. It's not like you're going, now let's do a double lift and make sure that, and we're going to flip the card over. And
I seriously hope not.
So
It kind of reminds me of what is it? When Howard Hamburg would come and talk about this type of thing, he says, "Why are you doing it?
right,
Don't just do it because you're supposed to do it. Ask yourself why, and then make that make sense, and then you're good."
yeah,
It doesn't even have to be.
I gotta get Howard up here for interview.
Yeah.
But we're running out of time, so before we do that, now we will do the official.
Is it good? Should I buy it? Does it suck? Did I get ripped off? Is it more of a craft project than a magic trick? These questions and more answered now on the Magic Item of the Week here on Magic Talk.
Is your first ease of use.
So, ease of use with this is actually, I want to give it maybe an intermediate, just for the sheer fact that there is a process. The sequence of process is not hard. It's actually very easy to grasp.
Perhaps we should start with what the name of the trick is.
Okay, what's the name of the trick?
I don't know.
You asked the question first.
I know. I got too excited about putting the
cart
video
before the horse. So
what's the name of the
the trick that we're going to be reviewing today is called the Big Blind.
The Big Blind.
The Big Blind.
And it's by?
It's by Craig Petty.
Okay. And so the premise of this trick,
created or by Craig Petty, produced by Murphy's Magic.
yes. And so the premise of the trick is that you say to somebody, "Look, I'm going to bet you $50 that I can tell whatever card you're thinking of." And so think of a card, and you're thinking of diamond.
Yep.
You are.
Yep.
Oh my gosh! And so then you put that down and say, "That's great." And now you're thinking of. I should do it this way. Sorry. So now you're thinking of. Oh gosh. Another 50 that you are thinking of. What do I say? What are the three chips?
Well, you usually with this, the idea, you're probably not going to get it right because they can pick any card
Right.
in the deck that they want. The idea is that you are betting money that you're going to know what suit they're going to pick. You can think of a card, and I think I'm going to bet you that I know what suit you're going to pick, and you put the suit down, and maybe get the suit right, maybe get the suit wrong. Then you put it down and say, okay, I got another 50, so I can go and say, I'm going to get the value this time.
Right.
Probably even harder. But I bet that you picked a 2. No. Oh, well. Shoot. Well, then. Then it's at that point, then at that point is okay, well, now I got one more 50. I'm gonna bet the lot on this one thing that I knew the card that you just stated was the right card. That I knew that was actually going to happen.
Okay.
Do you believe me? And they say no, and I say, well, shoot. You said, let's recap here. You picked a diamond, and you picked a 2, and I knew that you would pick the 2 of diamonds. So I guess I'm walking away with $150. Yeah. Now, this is a mentalist trick that
there's definitely sleight of hand that's involved.
yes, there is.
Definitely sleight of hand.
There's a sleight of hand. You could cut this out or bleep it if you need to, but it's
No, don't. I don't have a bleep or a cut, so
fine. So
um,
the whole idea is that you could literally pick any card,
yes.
and there is a way for you to go and make the
It's a
the
one-ahead
answer.
principle.
It is a one-ahead principle. That's what
Okay.
I was trying to figure out if it's not okay to say,
I don't know.
but it's
okay to say,
I'm
Mr.
good with it.
Okay.
So you're one ahead, but
Our
you're able to.
censor said it was okay.
So you're
Censor
one.
that cusses more than anyone.
Yeah. But
He
you don't
does-
have to keep broadcasting it.
No. What do you mean?
You don't have to keep saying it. One ahead.
No.
We just said it once, so you don't have to keep saying that. It's
What?
See, now he can't say anything. Okay, go ahead.
Okay. So you can put any card. It's a truly free choice, and it is all self-contained. How you're able to make the answer appear on these poker chips. It's actually it's not bad. I kind of like the how they put the containment together. It's very ergonomical, I think is the word to use.
Yeah.
It can you only need to use one hand in order to make these sleights work.
Mhm.
And the one thing that I think
That was wrong.
okay, so
the
like I
pros
was
now.
saying, the pros of it is very ergonomical, and basically the thing fits in your pocket. You can take it anywhere.
Yeah, the gimmick on it is pretty cool.
Yeah,
I
it actually
do
works
have a
really
couple
well.
cons.
You have a couple of cons,
I do have a couple cons.
other than the one that was the big one that we were talking
I
about.
do have another one.
Okay.
Okay. So one of the cons is I don't personally believe that you can hand these chips out for examination
But like legitimately.
legitimately.
Okay.
You can turn them over in their hands to show them. You can place them down on the table, but I would not feel comfortable in giving them these chips for a
Yes.
couple of reasons. One is they can detect what the mechanism is if they're handling the chips and doing it wrong. Two is there is some movement. So if they're looking, even if you hand them one chip, there is some movement in it that would say, "Oh, I get what you're doing."
I mean, if somebody's really,
No, you know what I mean, right? Yeah. Okay.
if someone's, I don't know if somebody would know what you're doing. I guess it would
Okay.
arouse some suspicion. Yes,
Tell me
it
that-
arouses some suspicion.
Yes.
I have no idea how or why
Right.
this is like this, but even if I have no idea, it looks suspicious.
Right.
It looks kind of fishy.
So I would say that in order to effectively perform this trick, you can put the chips down in your hand as you're doing it, but then when you go to turn it over, you turn it over on a table or you turn it over in their hands so that the pieces are separated, but then you pick them up and be done with it.
That is one thing. If you let the chips linger together too long, they do appear sticky.
Huh?
I like it.
Huh?
I like it.
So performance value.
I think the performance value is really good. Actually, it's straightforward.
Mhm.
You're not. It's not super complicated for somebody to follow. You know, it's very easy to follow. It's in essence a gambling premise. It's a mentalist routine dressed up as a gambling premise. The one. Well,
Jim just
I'm
keeps
sorry, I got a little
interrupting
carried
you
away
with
with
these
all
slides.
So
It's
what's your
the
star
best.
rating?
I was going to
Here,
say
let me try.
something else about
Okay.
it, but that I wasn't overly happy with
Okay, what's
in the
that?
trick. Well, in the demo, what is it? The demo
Yes.
for the trick online.
Yes.
There is a fib.
Well,
Not again.
there's there's a line in there.
There's a fib. I'm not going to go and say he's outright lied. I'm just
no.
saying there's
You're
I
gonna
don't know
light
if-
the internet on fire with
I
this
don't
one.
know
I
if
can
you-
already tell.
I don't know if you would, maybe it wasn't a conscientious. fib.
like he did it just not thinking about it.
Yeah.
Okay, well then in that case there was no quality control on the video because Craig does state that the audience can handle these tricks or these chips, and you don't have to go. They can turn it over. You don't have to handle the chips whatsoever.
Right. They can do it.
That
They can
is
turn them over for you.
that is false.
Which they could
Look,
if
they
they
do
do it
it.
a very specific way.
Yes,
But it just lends itself for way too much risk.
you can't. What I got from the video is that you can hand them the chips. You can have them turn it over. And I'm thinking to myself, no,
Right.
no, you can't.
I would not allow my spectator to turn these chips over.
It's just in the sheer fact that there's one thing that is painfully obvious when they're handling it.
Yes.
And again, it's the same idea of you might not know what it is, but it feels fishy.
Well, and your question would be why is it that?
Yeah, exactly.
So
That is the one thing where I'm kind of like, okay, other than that, it's a really nice, straightforward trick.
okay, so start rating.
Star rating, I would give it a 4 out of 5.
4 out of 5. What would you do?
That sounds good.
4 out of 5?
Sure.
I would give it a 3 3/4.
3 3/4.
3
He's a
3/4.
Harry Potter fan.
Okay, and remember, like all. That is for you. So don't forget to do that. Right?
All right.
Right.
Okay. Anything in closing?
Well,
Perfect.
I do have something in
$2.5 million.
Well,
Yes.
actually, with that in mind, I was going to start talking about that. There is a crowdfunding that the House of Magic is doing to go and acquire the building that you guys were just talking about. We're going to maybe put that up in the description
Yeah,
so
we'll
that
put
you
it.
guys can go in and see. Actually, you can see if you can donate anything, or better yet, you can see if you can share it. A subscription or a share is just as valuable as a donation.
Now, here's the thing. There are 330 million people in the United States. If we could get 2.5 million of those 330 million people to give $1,
We're good to go.
we meet our goal. $1.
Yep.
So
Sounds unlikely,
so-
but it's a beautiful dream.
Yeah.
So share it to all of your friends and all your family, and don't forget to donate $1.
I wanted to do a $1 million campaign, $1 at a time, and literally see if I could get this thing to broadcast out through the country, where somebody is just give us $1. That's all we're asking for. Share this out, share it, and give us $1.
So digital
Share it, give us
panhandling.
$1. Share it, give us $1.
Mm-hmm.
So digital
Call it pay it forward, okay?
digital panhandling is what you're trying
Yeah.
to do.
Exactly. I like it. We should create a funding program, a crowdfunding program called Digital Panhandling.
Digital handout.
You got $1.
Digital handout, digitalpanhandling.com.
Better do it quick because now everybody's going to steal your idea.
Oh, shoot.
Right.
All right.
It's on the internet.
Anyway, Greg, anything in closing? I have a hole in my head.
We should get that looked at.
Yeah.
You know what? We better just end now and go take you to the doctor.
So you're gonna be at the castle on Friday.
Yes, sir.
So if any of you are at the castle on Friday,
Come say hi.
look Greg up. Sorry, look Greg up. Say hi, and let him know that you listened to the show.
Oh God.
And with that, at White Rabbit Magic.
We believe in magic.
This has been a Rough Edge Studios production.